Kia ora, welcome to Parliament TV. Over the next hour, we present items from the TVNZ collection, from archives held by Ngā Taonga Sound and Vision, to remember the politics from our past.
At the time of the 1999 general election, the leaders of the two main political parties were, for the first time, women.
National's Jenny Shipley had been Prime Minister since toppling Jim Bolger 2 years earlier. The Labour Party's Helen Clark had been Leader of the Opposition since 1993.
The assignment programme profiled the two leaders over a 48-hour period in May 1999, 6 months before the election. The reporters are Kieran Evans and Mark Sainsbury. For rights reasons, some elements of the story have been removed.
Good evening. When Jenny Shipley snatched the reins of power from Jim Bolger, the pundit said she wouldn't last much beyond Christmas. But today, after 17 months in office, Mrs Shipley is firmly in control, despite the uncertainties of the first MMP Parliament. Her principal opponent, Helen Clark, dominates the forces of an opposition which has spent almost a decade in the wilderness. The coming general election will be make or break for both women. Inevitably, one will become Prime Minister, while the other will almost certainly be consigned to political oblivion. This month, assignment was granted access to 48 hours in the lives of the two leaders. How they use their time with us as different as their personalities. First up, Kieran Evans with the Prime Minister, Jenny Shipley.
Jennifer Mary Shipley, born Gore, 1952. Age 47, the country's first woman Prime Minister.
Nice to meet you.
You as well.
Yeah.
Hello. Are you shopping?
How are you?
Good.
Our assignment, up close and personal. 48 hours in the life of the first family. If we wanted to get to know Jenny Shipley, we had to see what she does in and outside the beehive.
I would never have chosen to come into politics had it not been for Burton. I mean, I was spending the time, I had 2 little children, and I spent a lot of time thinking of reasons why I couldn't, and Burton even then spent his time saying that he thought there were reasons why I should.
The pair say their strength is teamwork. They farmed together before Mrs Shipley entered politics in the late 80s, leaving her husband to run the house and the children. A decade later, the team is still tight.
Yeah, would you like a trolley for this? Would it be easy for you with a trolley? All right.
The Coke and cookies added extra for son Ben, who flats in Christchurch. According to the Prime Minister, if you want to eat, it's simply unwise to turn up at Ben's flat empty-handed.
Morning!
The youngest Shipley, Ben, is a political science student. He turns 21 in October. His mother could well be in the middle of an election campaign, fighting for her party's political livelihood.
How are you doing? Good thing. I thought you could hold the clouds. Thank you. Have you got the vase to put them in? Get his face on. Coke was on special.
The 3 students have been flatting since March, the PM amongst their regular visitors.
So how was last night?
Good.
Doesn't it take you back?
It does.
When I first walked in here, I thought, oh my God. And then Burton reminded me that the first year he met me, I lived in a flat just like this in Beeley Avenue. And I mean, it could almost be the same place. So I guess students, it doesn't change.
The conversation here is relaxed, including a full-on ribbing at the state of the flat's home brew.
It's a bit cloudy at the bottom and a bit clear at the top.
I'll put a sediment in there.
Is this the first brew?
This is the first brew.
Have you given up?
No, we've got it. When she comes here, she's more mum than she's the Prime Minister though. Probably biggest fans and harshest critics.
Look at that, a pack and save posy.
When she's done well, we'll tell her, and when she's sort of been rolled up a bit, we'll also say. Since Mum's been in Parliament, she's had sort of quite controversial portfolios, to say the least. And I mean, I've sort of grown up with people criticising her and got quite used to it. I mean, it's easy to be quite defensive, but it's also easy just to sort of ignore what other people are saying as well.
We are a very close family, and we always have been. We constantly talk. If I know that there are fireworks ahead, we'll talk about that. I'll warn the children even now and say in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time, big decisions will be taken. You might hear people say this, and this is why I'm doing it.
Do you worry about them?
Oh, I used to. And I certainly worry about them when the media or the public or my political opponents draw my children into the political debate. I mean, they are their own people. Of course, they are part of my family. But the things that hurt me are not what people say about me, because I can then deal with that. It is when they get involved with pursuing the children or Burton, or indeed my sisters and my mother and others in my extended family. It's that I worry about more than, you know, the personal political contest.
The Shipley entourage literally glides through Christchurch Airport. Officials say with this Prime Minister, there is no fuss.
Hello. I'm well, thank you.
Not particularly fond of flying, endless air travel comes with the job. A job Jenny Shipley believes she could only do with the strong support of her husband.
I mean, he's a great brick of a person. He anchors the whole family in just a strong, stable, calm, wise context. But he's enormously important to me. I mean, he constantly encourages me to be who I am and to believe in myself and to trust my own judgment. You can't ask for more than that.
You were just coffee with no milk?
With a southerly howling through Wellington, the Shipleys' regular Sunday afternoon walk has been replaced by time out in front of the telly with 22-year-old daughter Anna. Rugby, and in particular the Canterbury Crusaders, a passion for the self-confessed sports-mad family.
Running.
It's going to.
Chester's chasing.
Well done.
The Shipleys' home base, modest private quarters above the newly revamped luxury of Premier House.
And they were so cute, they were just so little.
He's funny, I think, really. He's a real soft spud. You're a mother's boy, aren't you?
But relaxation doesn't last around the Shipley household. The PM has the Sunday shift back in the beehive.
Evening, Prime Minister.
Good.
That's good.
As a woman, do you believe you bring something different to the job?
I am who I am. I can't be anyone other than that. I think that women's experience in all of the things that we do, how we relate to our colleagues, how you relate as a family person, are part of how your management style evolves as well. And certainly that, I think, has stood me in good stead, both in the coalition and latterly in a minority government.
Home for the evening, while the PM continues to work, Anna, a political science graduate, is on dinner.
Yes, I decided I hadn't had a roast chicken since I left my student flat down in Christchurch. Sort of halfway through last year, so.
Do you cook much around here?
Normally Dad or I do. Mum is sort of home maybe 1 or 2 nights a week for dinner, so she normally arrives home at about 7:30, so she doesn't cook much during the week. But normally Dad or I do when we get home from work.
What was it like around the Shipley household when Mum went from being a minister to the Prime Minister?
To be completely honest, not that big a difference. Like, I think as a family we'd probably always presumed that maybe it would be kind of a natural step, you know, for her to make that move at some stage. So, I mean, she still went off to work in the morning, so it just wasn't that big a difference at all, really.
Have you seen a change as she's perhaps become more confident with the role that she's now in?
Not really. I mean, we're kind of reasonably distanced from Mum at work. I mean, the Mum that I see is just good old Jenny who comes home at night and you say, oh, did you have a good day? And she goes, oh, yep, it wasn't too bad, or yes, it was excellent, and then, we leave it at that. I don't have that much of a direct role, with what Mum does while she's at work as such.
By all accounts, a typically domesticated Shipley family scene, but there are times when the mother-daughter chat turns to politics.
Often, when it's something that relates to young people, she'll ask, maybe from my perspective, like, the selling of the morning after pill over the counter at chemists and the drinking age and, some of the driving issues and those types of things. Mum will say, what do you think about that? I certainly wouldn't presume that we had any influence on what she decided, but I think it is nice that she can come home and, and get those sort of perspectives off sort of her own couch and stuff, as well as, hearing it through select committees and probably those sorts of aspects as well.
How do you think she copes under pressure?
Remarkably well, actually. I think she's pretty impressive in terms of those sorts of things. There's often situations where I think, I would completely lose my cool or I'd be lost for words, but Mum never seems to do that. So, yeah, no, I think she does pretty well in those sort of situations.
I think it's cocked the way it's falling to pieces.
As a rule, the Prime Minister tries to separate the business side of her life from her family.
People imagine we sit at home and discuss the affairs of state. It's rare. I can tell you honestly that Burton Shipley has never seen, for example, a cabinet paper in all of the years I've been, nor would I ever dream of letting him see it. It's not an issue. We just don't. That's a Chinese wall. Our lives are quite different to the considerations I have to make as a Prime Minister. And I think that works for us. It's just how we are.
My mum has sent me your Mother's Day dinner in advance.
So which day's that? I've forgotten.
With the election day advancing, the differences between Jenny Shipley and Labour leader Helen Clark couldn't be more stark than the scene around this dinner table. Two very different women competing for the same job.
Helen has chosen a life for herself. I've chosen a life for myself. We're different women, and New Zealanders must judge which of the two of us is more able to be what New Zealanders want us to be as a country, and who has the best leadership skills and the best ability to manage coalitions and take our country forward. I am a mother. I can't change that. I'm incredibly proud of the fact. It is part of who I am, and I love my children dearly. As I look at them, I look at the future of this country. Now, I've made those choices. Others make other choices, and I don't intend to compete or compare. I am who I am, and I'm not going to change that for anybody.
Helen Clark, how highly do you regard her?
I'm one who never spends a lot of time focusing on my opponents. I feel it just draws attention to them, and that's not my job.
When we come back, with the opposition in her sights,
should I get into the nasty tricks?
Jenny Shipley, the Prime Minister, and the raw reality of politics.
I mean, she shouldn't have made it public had she not wanted us to know about it.
News Talk ZB, we've got Jenny Shipley with us.
At her desk before 7, Jenny Shipley regularly survives on just 5 hours sleep.
Good morning, Paul.
Where are we on the recovery of the $340,000?
The chairman of the...
Before most of us have even considered breakfast, she's grappled with Paul Holmes during the regular round of Monday morning interviews. From there, it's on to the week ahead.
What about the ones I wrote on?
The planning and the strategy all work through with her staff.
That's the one you wrote on last night, I think.
Yes, I got it, Peter. OK, let's quickly whistle through the week.
It's scattergun territory, with everyone poised for any question.
Has the pharmaceutical build, other than the notes, Raf? Where are you? Have they got a key line? I mean, is it, in 5 words, a tight slogan, or is it just a general message?
In this room, people Jenny Shipley can trust. From policy advisors to spin doctors, experienced in their trade, many have only been on the payroll since last year.
I want to push it very hard.
Jenny Shipley is pushing the message, something she continues to do at the social policy pre-budget strategy meeting, which follows.
I agree with that. I'm still inclined to family-friendly, future-focused, or one of those...
Well, I'm certainly not going to jump off the 9th floor over.
Aren't you?
Her second budget as leader, it's the key to showcasing her government's economic management before the election. Having unsuccessfully sold policy in the past, managing the message has become increasingly vital.
Please don't overlook the Teams question. Remember, we're selling it into... I'll ring everybody's neck if they turn up here with traditional flyers of health, welfare,
Meantime, the outside world intervenes. The Prime Minister is called away to speak with Labour MP Mike Moore in Geneva.
Well, they've been reporting to me, Micah, right over the weekend, and it sounds good.
Giving a hand up to a former political adversary sends a powerful signal. Her minority government survives because of this ability to woo strange political bedfellows. Some of them have caused red faces, embarrassment for National.
Errant ministers, tauhenere. Frustrating?
It's only a minute in time. You see, I see Tau doing enormous good in New Zealand. I'm with him when he's out there saying to young Maori, the future's ahead of you and get off your backside and try. I see the fact that tauhenere in Cabinet is making a profound difference for the status of young Maori in New Zealand.
If you had a minister in your own ranks saying something like that, would they have been dealt with in the same way?
Absolutely. I would have picked up the phone and said exactly the same thing, and they would have been in no doubt what I meant.
There is a public perception that you're papering over the cracks to keep in power. Do you see that?
Well, look, I think that's an easy allegation. Let me just put it the other way. If you think that Helen Clark and Jim Anderton and Pam Corkery and Phil Goff and all of the other people who can't even agree in opposition, if you think that they would work in government without having the odd flashpoint, and particularly if Winston Peters was required as well, I mean, imagine that combination.
Home after trade talks, the freshly promoted Lockwood Smith gets his first briefing on his new tourism portfolio.
Welcome home. It's nice to see you.
Next up, a winter health launch. It's places like these, out of the beehive.
You just had a cold? Did you? So have I.
Jenny Shipley believes her most important business is conducted. Juggling meetings, launches and lunches, she likens it to being an orchestra conductor.
Even though you're seeing meetings that look like they're happening in isolation, they are part of a much larger story that you have a lot of knowledge of, and so it does make it easier to switch in and switch out. But in any one day you can be dealing with probably 22 or 3 different issues, from very human issues to stark economic issues, foreign policy issues, personal issues. You know, your children still ring you up.
This Porirua-based education program for teenage parents is funded directly from the Prime Minister's crime prevention budget. Some of these parents have up to 4 children. They left school early. The program, their second chance at an education.
Ah, you're terrific.
Lunchtime, everyone.
After lunch, it's back to the beehive and more people wanting meetings. Even our top spy, the security intelligence chief, has to wait up to 25 minutes in front of our cameras. Meetings are only called when there's something to discuss. Today, this is about as far as our cameras were allowed.
How are you?
The night out in honour of Josiah Beeman, celebrating his 5th anniversary as American ambassador.
G'day, can your minister come up now? We'll try and advance the 9 o'clock meeting.
Good morning.
Here he is. Pop, pop, pop.
What a lovely party it was last night, wasn't it?
Between now and caucus at 10, another round of meetings for the Prime Minister. From the budget to ACC and tourism.
Star Tourism Minister. Good on you.
There's a discussion on genetic food with health officials
Where's Jerry?
and parliamentary agendas with her whips. Keeping up communication between Wellington and the party, another election year priority. National Party Chairman John Slater in for a meeting before accompanying his leader to caucus.
Talking about
distinguished men on the walls.
Having staked her reputation on the brat pack, young ministers promoted to cabinet ahead of experience, for the moment, Jenny Shipley describes her caucus as settled.
We're working as a team very much. But to be fair, some of those, even those who didn't support me, that were very good friends of Jim's. And I mean, I respect them for that. I don't hold those sorts of things against them. There are a core group of ministers upon whom I rely. One or two of them are women, actually. Different ones have different skills. And if it's something that needs to be worked through, that's partly crisis-driven, needs a lot of experience or legal input, I go one way. If it's a highly strategic question with a lot of political undertone, the mix might be slightly different. One or two of them are backbenchers. They're not all ministers, who I would invite in to give me their advice and whose opinions I value.
The weekly caucus lasts 3 hours. Meantime, staff sought those parliamentary questions. We witnessed the choreography of question time.
Two. Have we got the full set? Yep.
Advisers and ministers summoned, all to ensure the Prime Minister gets it right in the Parliament.
I just do think that we should use an accurate of when Helen Clark was Minister as opposed to this year.
In all those figures, I've sort of used annual figures.
Yeah, no, I'd like you to count those. And I'd actually prefer the days lost than the dollars. I think the days lost, people understand that.
Question 2, ministerial accountability, gave us the chance to ask the one-time school teacher about those now famous tune-ups.
You should ask the ministers, perhaps. Look, we're part of a team and we understand each other, and generally I don't have to speak very sternly, but my colleagues will tell you that if I do, it's very clear what I mean. And to be fair to them, they're very quick to respond.
Tune-ups aside, the orchestrated build-up to the theatre of question time continues.
Should I get into the nasty tricks? Why don't we get a line and say that this is just consistent with Labor's publicised strategy and just start persistently using it in the Parliament and saying this is Helen Clark's nasty strategy of la-la-la.
Yep. No, I'll get it.
I mean, she shouldn't have made it public had she not wanted us to know about it.
My ministers, the number of dollars lost by workers in New Zealand is 2 million in 1 year. When the Leader of the Opposition was actually the Minister of Labour, there was a huge $68 million of wages lost from New Zealand workers.
With no apprenticeship in opposition, the coalition meltdown, Saatchi's Kevin Roberts, tourism and power prices all have damaged Jenny Shipley's government. In anyone's language, these were horror weeks. For our cameras, the Prime Minister sees it differently.
Perhaps I'm a muddled-up person, but I don't deal in horror weeks. Horror weeks are weeks where you have to manage risks. There are many analysts who will spend a lot of time telling you what they think you should have done. In politics, you must take your own decisions, and while on reflection you may evaluate what you've done, in my view, you shouldn't look back because you can't change time.
20 minutes,
She is the undisputed leader of the Labour Party, but to those both within and outside Labour, she remains an enigma. Intelligent yet aloof, compassionate yet totally self-contained. Right from the start, what we could or could not get on the road with the aspiring Prime Minister had to be fought for. Not with her, of course, but with her media advisers.
And I now declare officially closed the last opposition Congress of the Labour Party.
We set off with Helen Clark as Labour's weekend Congress wound up.
Just do me and Sanj first.
Straight at this lens.
This was a photo op she had no problem with.
I left my high heels off today.
2 generations of Labour women.
One more, here we go, just looking directly at the lens.
A wonderful Congress. The look of the people. It's great. It's middle New Zealand.
Time too to dissect what they'd achieved over the weekend.
We were going to start a huge campaign scrap. We've said.
Well, there's a marvellous politician cartoon in the Herald just after they started that tactic, where one person says to the politician, why are you accusing our opponents of using smear tactics against us?
And the national politician says, so we can use them against them.
We need to tell the truth as it is. But we didn't need to tell New Zealand that we're prepared to have a smear campaign.
Oh Lord, won't you get my parental leave paid? I'm having a baby, too late to be spayed.
Success too means keeping Helen Clark in the frame, whether she wants it or not, whether we think she's enjoying it or not.
Leave paid.
I've always been conscious in public life of the importance of behaving appropriately, which means that you tend to cut off the extremes of reactions. I'm not known as someone who loses her rag, loses her temper. I tend to keep a very even temperament. And perhaps people find that an enigma, but in a sense it's the way I was brought up, to be polite, to be courteous, and to keep emotion publicly within certain bounds. Hi, Graham.
How are you? So she heads home, Auckland. And this is the part of her life she guards most fiercely. A modest home in Mount Eden, and her husband, Peter Davis.
You have to organise to keep a private life. Otherwise, you would live in the goldfish bowl 20 hours a day. I'm a very accessible person. I'm very accessible to media, very accessible to the general public, interest groups, individuals with a problem. But there are times when I have to say, this weekend is for me and Peter and my parents, whatever, because we value that time.
Late Sunday, it's a scramble to recover what's left of that time.
Are you a gym junkie or it's necessary to do it?
I started going to the gym in a desultory way in 1991 and just generally picking up physical fitness. Then 2 years ago I hired a personal trainer and that made a big difference, and now I'm very motivated to go quite often.
There's an expectation, isn't there, that if you're going to be Prime Minister, you've got to do those sort of, hanging out with the All Blacks or the yachties, the blokish sort of things, I suppose. Do you have to do that sort of stuff?
In general, my rule is to only go to things I enjoy going to. I think arts and culture is really important for New Zealand's national identity. It's also something I love being associated with. I love going to the opera, I love going to the ballet, I love going to the orchestra. So it would mix both business and pleasure for me.
So David Long-eared motor racing, you'll have the symphony.
That's right. You won't see me in a racing car.
The gym for fitness, stress relief, and probably the only place she can really escape from everyone. Except us, of course.
Yeah, well, you did think that when you first started doing it, will you end up sort of looking like something?
Meanwhile, back at the house, Canterbury's new Professor of Public Health, both of them then have out-of-town jobs, is cooking tea.
Can you guys have a normal life?
You have to book it in. Basically, we're both very busy, but Helen's very disciplined about really taking time out. She's very good about it. She's better about it than I am, actually.
People will look at your lives and your personalities and everything else and pick them apart.
Well, I mean, actually, I prefer it that we don't really, we try to maintain an oasis of privacy. I think that's important because you've got to be able to have some part of your life that's not subject to that kind of scrutiny. And so, in a way, I've resisted it to a certain extent. And also, I don't think you should use your personal life for political gain because it can come back and bite you. You know, if something then goes wrong, then it can be used against you. So I'd far prefer that one's private life is left out of it, both for one's own emotional stability and also because it's a bit inauthentic, you know, lacking in genuineness to sort of flaunt it and to sort of make something of it.
The closest person to Helen Clark is probably the closest you get to her.
At the moment, a huge thing's been made in politics of family, and family's important, you know, and they go, oh, well, you know, of course you can't understand that because you don't have children, and you have your own career, and you know, you're not...
Well, I mean, I think, actually, a lot of it's quite baseless, really. I mean, for example, I mean, she has nieces and nephews that she spends a lot of time with. And I mean, they sort of write this kind of thing, Auntie Helen type stuff, you know. And I mean, it's not her kid, but that's her little niece, I think, or no, that's her niece. And I mean, so that sort of thing happens, not in the same way as if it was her child, but there's sort of very strong family ties. I mean, I'm an immigrant, so my family are elsewhere. So I've kind of been absorbed in a way into Helen's family, which is very close.
Oh, I'm sure that's the agenda, but I think what it misses is that actually New Zealand households are very, very diverse, and there are all kinds of families, all kinds of relationships.
Is that dirty, Paul, you think?
Of course it's dirty, Paul, and the National Party has clearly signalled the kind of campaign it wishes to run. But I believe that kind of campaign does really get a backlash. I can see that in the mail that's coming through now, the phone calls to the office, that people don't like it. They want to see us fight on the issues. And I like to think I'm a very issue-oriented, task-oriented person, and will stick to what's really important to the general public.
Peter, too, despite being task-oriented with the tandoori chicken, must also contend with the wrangling for Mother of the Nation.
See, to a lot of people, I suppose, they see her almost as an enigma, as mysterious, but she doesn't wear a heart on her sleeve. You know, she's not out there in your face.
I mean, it's funny. It depends what people want in politicians. I mean, if they want headline grabbers, then they go for Winston Peters, and look what they got there. Helen is not somebody who's a great one at manipulating herself in the media, and she's pretty straight, really, and I think people have to accept that.
But is that perhaps what people want? What they want to see is the armour plating pulled away. Please break down. And, you know.
Well, but then what happens? You get sort of Helen sheds a tear on Waitangi, and it's a bloody great federal case. You know, you can't win. No, I think politicians should show emotion just to show that it's possible.
It's perhaps the great irony that the woman decried for lack of public emotion was decried again for actually showing some, after a confrontation at Waitangi Day last year with Titawhai Harawira.
I am very firm about taking second place to men's games.
In the end, I'm not sure that did any great harm, because part of the reaction was, good God, she's human. So in a sense it rounded out the personality, I suppose. And there was a tremendous feeling of sympathy. You know, why should anyone have to put up with that sort of rudeness, completely out of left field, which was what it was.
You've never felt like saying, look, pack this in, let's go and live a quiet life where no one's filming us in the kitchen?
Well, yeah. No, not really, no. I mean, there certainly have been times that things have been very low, but I know that Helen's got what it takes, and really for her to have done this apprenticeship and at this point say throw it in would be ridiculous. I think she deserves a go at it. You know, there certainly have been times like that, but actually I think Helen's a rather exceptional person, and I think New Zealand will be rather lucky if she gets the job, which I think she will.
They're not boiling over.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, it's boiling away. Here, love. Where are these flowers? Who brought the flowers?
Lady in the gym decided to give these flowers. Which rather fortunately were red roses.
The roses hit the spot. The issue now is how long before the chicken will.
About 10 minutes. Not 10 minutes?
Put it right in the middle.
Okay, like that.
And how long are they supposed to be?
30 minutes. So I reckon they'll be ready in about 2 minutes time.
No, they need...
I think anyway,
I usually come home and finish it off.
And after tea, well, a bit of telly or maybe Helen's favourite opera. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day.
Good morning, News Talk ZB.
Hi, Helen Clark on the line.
Oh, thank you very much for calling. I'll just put you on hold for Robin.
Okay.
Won't be long.
With most Mondays spent in Auckland, home becomes the office.
You got it. And what a great crowd of people we had at the Congress.
By the time we gain entree to the Clark working day, a lot has already been done. Morning report, Paul Holmes. Early morning radio calls, we understand, she often takes from bed. This is not a person who needs hours to mentally prepare herself for what's ahead.
Yep, bye now.
And there's something refreshingly endearing about anyone who likes a lie-in.
Does it make any difference, do you think, in terms of the perceptions at the moment, that there are two women basically vying for the top job?
I think there's some who would like to turn it into some kind of catfight. And I guess when you've had two guys at the top slugging it out, it's been seen as a gladiatorial contest. So inevitably people will focus on the key personalities.
Does it affect your style that it's Jenny Shipley there and not, say, Jim Bolger? Would you handle the tactics differently?
You're dealing with a completely different personality. In the end, no one really believed that kind Mr. Bolger was a right-wing ideologue who was about to do terrible things to the country, because he was basically a nice guy. So he wasn't an easy opponent at all.
Did you see him as a nice guy?
Personally, I liked Jim Bolger. I think he was a nice man. I think he got led down a dreadful path by Ruth Richardson and that crew, but fundamentally he was a decent New Zealander.
What about Jenny Shipley? Do you like her?
Well, I never commented because I feel that inevitably anything that women say about each other is seen as catty, so it's better to say nothing.
There's a remarkable normality about life for Helen Clark at the moment. Peter warms up her old Honda step-through to take into town. Another day in the suburbs. Helen gets the car and is off to church for a meeting with Auckland church leaders.
It seems they felt it was time again to touch base before the election.
Are you a religious person yourself?
No.
If someone was describing you, how would they describe you?
It depends whether they're motivated by kind thoughts or malice. But the people who know me would say that I am kind-hearted to a fault, which is true, and that I like to get things done. I like to be a person of action, not words. I do take issues seriously. I don't open my mouth before I've thought about what I'm going to say, and that I'm pretty conscientious.
Too kind-hearted for politics?
No.
Anything but
Hi.
Graham Ferguson.
Hi, Graham.
The meeting by the church leaders' request is a private one. Then an unexpected insight.
Okay, we're going to shorten some sleeves.
Yeah,
today?
shorten some sleeves. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
And maybe a few waist alterations.
We'll have a look.
Take some more in. Down at the gym again.
The woman who's had half the country on her case over how she looks is off for a fitting with one of the country's top designers, Jane Daniels.
She's got to have this wonderful feminine side which comes through as well. So we try to coordinate all of that, with a softer shoulder line, that sort of thing. Colours that aren't too severe, because Helen's got a lovely delicate complexion. She can't take the heavy dark colours.
How important also is it to be, I suppose, seen to be buying locally? I mean, if you shot off to Sydney for a buying trip...
I never buy clothes overseas. The clothes that Jane makes are as good as, better than anything I would see anywhere. And so I never buy overseas, unless it's some kind of, something from Guatemala, which is a very casual,
which
bit
we
of ethnic, different casual.
I thought you were going to say
thing.
fur for a minute.
But no, I buy all my clothes.
Yeah. What do you think when you see her on TV? Is she a different person?
To some extent. I mean, you have to do certain things to present yourself, in this television world. But I know enough about her, her body language and the way she talks to realise, the genuine person is there. But you have to some extent, politics is is an act.
Criticism of market rents. What a surprise. Helen's looking great.
For the rest of the day, you're an electorate MP again.
There's an immigration one.
Yep.
And this chap, his wife's in Beijing.
Now, this is all kind of complicated, isn't it?
The reason, lest we forget, they're in Parliament to begin with. JP applications and local problems, sorting out home before taking on the nation's woes. That will come next morning. There's a big difference too in being the Prime Minister or the would-be Prime Minister. As the would-be Prime Minister, you don't have to draw on the same resources as comes with a Prime Ministerial office. The would-be Prime Minister, for instance, sometimes travels alone. Does anything ever frighten you?
Not a lot. Not a lot, although you do start to think about issues like personal security. We had a little incident at our party conference on Saturday when someone came out of the dark in a hall and marched towards the stage, and you're thinking, what is the intent of this person? I once in 1991 went to visit the man who had run for Social Democratic Chancellor of Germany, Oscar Lafontaine, and the year before at an election rally, someone rushed from the floor, slashed his neck, and he nearly bled to death. So you're always conscious of an event like that could change the course of your personal history.
Is that a persistent worry for you?
No, but that event on Saturday triggered for me the knowledge that the Labor Party must be very protective of my security from here on in.
We're very privileged today to have in our workplace the leader of the opposition, Helen Clark.
Few security worries here. Clark strikes the right note with the Hawke's Bay firefighters.
I think we're within a whisker of Mr. Estill actually getting the boot. There's a... yes, let's all cheer.
And they respond in kind.
Again, it is a great privilege and pleasure to have you here because you're going to be the next Prime Minister.
It's then a whistle-stop tour of interest groups and interested groups.
We're here as the people representing the other road to go down with a different vision of what New Zealand could be.
Traditional supporters. And just time to squeeze in potential converts like pip fruit growers, unhappy with this government's deregulation plans.
These last 48 hours, have they essentially been the start of your election campaign?
I think they have. We came out of the party congress, we had the 7 core pledges. It's my job to go out on the road now and sell them in the pre-campaign period. And I'll be doing a lot of that in the coming months.
I mean, what are you selling? I mean, the Herald this morning described Labor as a conservative party.
I think we are conservative in the good sense, in that we want to conserve what's good about the New Zealand way of life.
That assignment program was broadcast on 20 May 1999. The reporters were Kerry-Ann Evans and Mark Sainsbury. The Labor Party, in coalition with the Alliance Party, took over the reins of power following the 1999 general election. Jenny Shipley retired from Parliament in January 2002.
In 1996, New Zealand held its first general election under MMP, the new mixed member proportional system. In September that year, the Marae program investigated the depth of knowledge about MMP among Māori. It also profiled the aspiring Labour politician Reno Tirikatene.
Reno Tirikatene, nephew of Southern Māori MP Whetu Tirikatene Sullivan.
is the Labour Party's candidate for the Māori seat of Te Puke Te Whenua. A nomination he won after being asked to stand in place of his father, Reno Sr., who passed away last year. What's it like seeing your baby out there on the hustings in place of Reno Sr.?
We were asked by Te Whareto for him to take that seat, and he won the selection to represent. So we all agreed as a whānau that we make this commitment to him.
How important is it that Reno be out there? How important is it for the whānau that he be there?
The whānau is privileged in as much as he was asked to stand, first of all. Here we have a young person who is young in years, but in maturity in politics, he was nurtured on it.
Reno, when you get into Parliament, those politicians are really rude, and if you don't speak up, say your piece, say it clearly, say it loudly, say it succinctly, they're just going to drown you. What are you going to do? Are you going to be just as loud, just as vocal?
I'm not an arrogant person. I'm not of the brash tauhenere mould. I'm a...
They come.
But so I'm more thoughtful, and in everything that I do, I'm very careful and the way I approach things. And I'd like to bring a new freshness, I guess, to politics, and how and go away from all those antics that they do in performing in the House.
Well, Hene Amo, what's it like for you seeing your brother, your baby brother out there on the hustings, you know, considering that the world of politics is an ugly, ugly place? Are you worried about him at all?
No, not at all. Reason being, I would have been not so long ago, because he's quite a reserved, shy type of character, and he's not really been one to be very sort of public, and so it's actually surprised us quite a bit how enthusiastic he has gotten about it all. Quite the motivator of us, I think.
Do you think because of your age you'll be able to attract a lot of the youth vote?
Well, I hope to, because I want our young rangatahi to know that there is a person there that represents them.
Well, because Te Puke Te Whenua is so large and you've got both urban and rural areas within that boundary, have you seen a difference in the issues affecting rangatahi?
No, I believe that young children, our rangatahi in places like Waitara or across to Wairoa, the same problems are throughout the whole electorate, be it rural or urban. Our young people are looking for opportunities for them, and at the moment it seems that in our society, furthering their education or getting a job, so there's a real battle out there for them.
How do you feel about taking over the seat from your dad?
Well, I feel honoured to be standing in this first MMP election for a historic new Māori seat, and I know that I've no doubt that he would have won by a country mile, but actually to stand, follow in their footsteps of my family, and it is a big honour.
You come from really good stock, really good whānau pedigree in politics. Is that going to stand you in good stead for what's required to be a good Māori politician or a good politician?
I think it does stand me in good stead. I have been taught well by my parents, and they too by their parents, and a lot of people, they sort of see the hereditary thing as nepotism or something along those lines, but I think it's a positive thing for myself to be carrying on the work and having a go. That's the main thing.
So what do you know about Labour's policies, and how can you offer Māori an informed choice and informed opinion about what Labour has to offer?
Labour is a social democratic party, and we stand on the principles of equality of opportunity for all people, and that no one should be denied their full development. Everyone should be able to reach their full potential. And those principles that Labour stands on, my grandparents believed in it, my parents believe in it, and I believe in those principles.
The Ratana Church is a really important part of your family. It's an important part of your life as well. How do you think they're going to support you?
Our family have given our lives to the Ratana movement. My grandfather was the first quarter to go in on the political side, and he was Ratana's chief policy advisor on political matters. And so I know my father and our whole family, our whole lives have been in the Ratana movement, from playing in the reo, in the bands. And so I don't expect anyone to vote me because of who I am or where I come from. Hopefully people will look to me as the person and their own personal integrity that they see in the person who would be a representative for them, an effective representative in Parliament.
In the Māori seats alone, there's the potential for a total of 40 candidates. And when you add those who are only on the party lists, we're heading for a record number of Māori running for Parliament. Well, there's a lot of interest amongst the parties, but is there that same interest on the street? Here's a report from Arana Taumata.
We read about it every day.
To start the election process.
We hear about it every hour. And it's a regular feature on TV.
Good to see you.
Like it or not, our centres are going to be bombarded with electioneering for the next 4 weeks.
But this time the battle for the beehive is being fought under different rules, MMP or mixed member proportional. But there's a concern that many voters aren't up to speed with MMP.
But MMP isn't striking a chord with young Māori.
I don't know. I don't understand it. I haven't voted before, and so I don't really know the system anyway.
What does MMP mean to you, Rob?
Not a lot. No, it doesn't mean diddly squat to me. I don't trust politicians in the least.
Well, when I knew that you were coming, I didn't start window dressing, but I spoke to them this morning about it. And I asked them, how many of them knew anything about MMP? Well, there were 2 hands that went up. I said, do you know the implications of MMP? No. They didn't know anything about the party lists and the voting situation. They didn't know that such a thing existed. Now, these are just the main areas in this new electoral situation that's happening.
And the old people are confused too.
The old people who used to vote, you know, and they did their voting in the first past the post system, are finding it really hard to understand the system. And you've got to be a sort of a half Philadelphian lawyer to understand what the thing is.
Now, this informal sampling of Māori opinion wouldn't be complete without a street survey, so we're going to do that on Queen Street.
That is Queen Street, Wainuiomata. But here, along with ignorance, there's disillusionment with politics too.
I don't know. Don't know anything about voting.
Do you think it's been explained properly?
Yeah, but I reckon that the government can't do what they're supposed to do. They make all these promises and they just break the promise later on down the track.
Which is the most important vote? You know, you've got a party vote and a electorate vote.
Electorate?
I thought it was the party.
I prefer them to use easier language for us, like my whānau here. I'd like them to use language that they can understand. I want to find out more about it before I vote.
But with 4 weeks to go, there's still time to get at least the basic information on MMP. So the decisions we make on October 12 will be informed ones.
I guess it is ignorance in a lot of ways, you know. I mean, it's all there if we want it. Just, you know, if we want to reach out and grab it.
Well, our guests today are Dr. Anne Sullivan, who's a political scientist at Waikato University, and Jocelyn Cruikshank from the Registrar of Electors. Well, tēnā kōrua. Well, Anne, it's quite a dismal picture we've just seen in there. Is that the sort of thing you think is happening out and about?
Unfortunately, Derek, there are still a lot of Māori who are not enrolled on the Māori electoral roll, and this is where it's crucial for us to try and get as many Māori as we can onto the electoral rolls, and I think Jocelyn will be able to explain the numbers of people not on the roll and why.
Well, Jocelyn, how are we looking with the rolls at this stage, 4 weeks out from the election?
The 91% is the total of the Maori people that are enrolled, which is really low considering that these figures were taken from the polls 3 years ago.
So what you're saying is that of the people who enrolled last time, we've only hit 91% of that total so far. And that was already a low turnout.
That was a low turnout, yes.
Well, it's not looking good then.
No, it's not.
What's your hunch then as to how many people still need to be enrolled?
With the Maori people, there were at least 50% of the people we're trying to get to target 18 to 29-year-olds. They're very, very hard to get.
So half of them, your hunch is they're not even on the roll?
No, they're not.
What can they do, though, in order to, is there still time left to get on the roll and things like that?
Yes, there is. They've got till the 11th of October to enrol, but they must complete a registration form. They can cast a special vote, but it's not going to be counted for the simple reason they're not enrolled anywhere. And this is where they fall down. They go along and cast their vote on the day, but unfortunately it may not be counted.
Well, you were telling me something quite shocking earlier on. You said there was something like 44,000 special votes cast last time, and of that 44,000, only 1,000 of those votes were accepted.
That's right, yes.
So what happened to the rest of them? Were they not valid?
They're not valid votes, no. People have wasted their time.
What about Māori living overseas, say in Australia? How do they get on for voting this time round?
There are provisions overseas at each area for them to cast their votes. They've been well advertised overseas and also through our returning officers in New Zealand.
So do we know how many people have enrolled from Australia, say, for example?
Not at this stage, no.
Is that a figure that will turn up eventually, or is it you simply wait and see when people turn up to vote in Australia?
Yes, that can be achieved after the polling day, yes.
There was a level there and that suggested that, well, as we've seen, that a lot of the young Māori don't really understand what's going on here, and even some of the older ones too. Your survey, does that indicate that there's that sort of concern?
I'm sorry.
The surveys, the sorts of, in your work as a political scientist, are you finding that there is still this confusion about the voting system and how to vote?
I think that the problem is that the age group 18 to 29 historically fail to either register and also often fail to go out and vote even if they are registered. And this is where it's very important for us Māori because our seats in Parliament are no longer guaranteed. We need to get as many Māori on the electoral, particularly on the Māori electoral roll, to ensure that we retain the 5 Māori seats that we've got now. And ideally we need to be making a conscious effort to try and get the non-enrolled people on the Māori rolls so our seats can increase. If we don't make that conscious effort to either maintain the roll at the level it is or increase the Māori rolls, then we're going to reduce Māori representation in Parliament.
That item from the Marae programme was broadcast in September 1996. Reno Tirakatene didn't make it into Parliament in 1996, but he won the Te Tai Tonga seat in 2011. September 2018 marked 125 years since New Zealand women first won the right to vote, after the submission of a petition with close to 32,000 signatures. This led to the signing of the Electoral Act of 1893. This feature was produced to mark the occasion.
Today, we are celebrating 125 years of women's voting in New Zealand.
And we've been hosting people on special tours around the building who have been finding out all about the characters, just what they went through.
So I believe it was my great-great-grandmother who signed the petition. Just very grateful that she was part of the change. It's never easy to go against society and society's norms.
Something to be proud of. We're the first country. We took the first step. We showed other countries that it was possible.
It's better to have more women vote because women deserve a right too.
That is the best quality in woman. She's the Mother Earth.
Kate Shepherd was the public face of the suffrage movement. It was the largest petition. It was a huge citizen action. And when it was presented to the House by Sir John Hall, he dramatically unrolled it along the central corridor of the debating chamber and it hit the clerk's desk with a thud. And the House supported it through.
I think I'd say
thank you so much, and how brave they were. It must have been, very courageous to go against everybody's thinking at the time.
We really hope that it's inspired people to learn more about the efforts of women, and also for people to come back and to learn more about Parliament and how this institution works.
For some contemporary insights into the workings of Parliament, you can view a collection of short videos from the Spotlight on Parliament series. Just head to the New Zealand Parliament website at www.parliament.nz.